Hi all, this is Dillin. This episode is going to feature a brand new game called Hunter Hunted by Dillin Appelian, a friend of the show, Super Dillin, and Megan Cross. This game is a fast-paced two-player RPG that plays out the chase between a hunter and the monster they're pursuing. I got the chance to play with one of the designers, Dillin, ahead of the Kickstarter, which is starting July 15th and running until August 15th. Links for that are going to be in the show notes. Enjoy. Dillin.
Yes.
I did read the rules ahead of time. I was responsible and did my homework.
That's so good.
For the purposes of audio medium, tell me where we got to start.
Where we got to start is we have to decide first which one of us is going to be the hunter and which one of us is going to be the monster.
You know what?
What?
I'll do the monster because I never get to be the monster.
That's
I always have to run everything.
There you go. You
all
be the monster.
All the guests get to be monsters. Selfish pricks. I love you, all the guests.
So, because you're going to be the monster, we have a couple of questions to answer separately and together. I think I want this hunter to be like an average person. I have not done that yet in this game. I've made them all very extraordinary. And I think I want this person to be like someone young and otherwise unremarkable, maybe early 20s. I think they're going to be Rachel. I think they're just going to be Rachel. Average 20-something girl, maybe plays lacrosse. There is a reason that she has come to hunt here. Whatever this monster is a monster that Rachel has seen glimpses of, and everyone else in her life has convinced her is not real. And she is pursuing it out of like a sense of desperation and also like a drive to prove her senses right.
Going full normal person. Put some restrictions on what sort of monster you're going for, right? You know, you're not going full like terrifying under the full moon werewolf against a 20-something-year-old getting home from the club.
Sure.
Creates a very lopsided confrontation. Well, maybe. Certainly maybe. Who or what am I? I think it's just something forsaken. It is fully just a creature that has been relegated to the shadows for the purposes of not being seen. Something got mad at me one day and was simply like,
I'm done with you and so is everyone else.
I am something that is meant to live at the corners of perception that most people wouldn't notice. Ever. By design. So I think there's an element of, if you are seeing me, something is... Honestly, I think at this point, with the level of like paranoia and desperation that gets seeded with an indeterminate amount of time being unobserved,
yeah,
I think the conclusion you jump to is something is wrong with them.
For seeing you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something that's bad for me or if there's something fully just fucked up about you, but this shouldn't be happening and you are wrong.
Okay. If we were to see you, do we know what you look like? Or are you like formless?
I think this is a situation of like, even it doesn't know. Once it was cursed, there is no reflection anymore. You can't see yourself. Even it doesn't know, and I think that might even be part of why this is becoming a situation where I am in any form of hunt, is just, I don't want the answer anymore. The concern that it might not be a guy.
If I see you, you might have to know. You might have to know that answer.
Everybody's been terrified every time they saw me, and that could just be seeing something out of the corner of your eye and jumping, but I could be something awful, and I'm never going to find out.
Amazing. You have made this place your home. What brought you to this place and why did you choose to stay? I'm imagining suburbia.
Near the edge of the woods, like where suburbia just sort of starts and the development hasn't crept over yet.
Yeah.
The sort of place of just like, yeah, sometimes kids will come out to the woods to play, but like nobody is going to find me. I am not supposed to be seen. Now I am afraid of being seen, and now I'm just here. It's safe. The ones who might see me will get spooked and run away immediately. No adults are coming. Nobody is moving in here. There was a little while of trying to like finding the derelict houses and like living somewhere in the city. Mm-hmm. And then someone would just remodel it and move in.
Yeah.
Nowhere is ever going to be empty in a city.
No, you can't hide forever. Civilization marches on. But you stayed even after like people started to encroach. Like, why stay? Was there something that held you here or prevented you or gave you pause from moving on to the next place?
I think it may be something that it wouldn't ever admit to itself. Just the idea that actually being fully alone is also horrifying. Being able to live a little bit vicariously, seeing the kids go out and play, seeing people living their lives, seeing families kind of come up, feels more humanizing than anything else that occurs in this thing's life. If it were capable of having a conversation with someone, if somebody could see it and talk to it and ask it what its deal was, it would say, I am avoiding all human contact. Human contact is bad. Mm-hmm. But also, I could just move another mile or two deeper and be completely alone. And I'm not gonna.
Amazing. For Rachel, I carry with me a signature weapon. What is it, and what about it is more than it seems? It's a bright pink canister of hairspray.
The suburban flamethrower.
Because what's more than it seems is I stole it from my mom who grew up in the 80s.
Oh, no.
And it's still made with aerosol. Like, that stuff will carry.
It's the good combustible shit.
Yeah, it'll carry a full torch's worth of flame. And that's what I carry when I venture out into the woods. You have heard whispered stories about you. What do people say about you, and how much of that is true?
I think it depends on the year. During, like, the late aughts into the 2010s, there was a lot of stories that, like, oh, it's Slender Man. In the 80s and 90s, there were a lot of stories about, like, oh, there's some creepy guy living in the woods that's here to steal the kids, because that's what we were all terrified of in the 80s and 90s. It just slowly evolves. And functionally, none of it is true, because all of it assumes some sort of intent of, like, I am going to interact with you.
Which is exactly what you don't want.
Like, I'm not here to steal your kids. I don't want to fucking see your kids.
You don't want them to see you.
I am not here to snatch anything or, like, to kill anyone, because I'm not sure that I can, and trying, no, again, I don't think I can touch people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to find out, because finding out that I am literally incapable of human contact is so much worse than not having it.
I've heard stories about the monster I hunt. What do I know about my quarry? And do I believe everything that I've heard about it? Almost everybody that is close to me has told me that I'm crazy. That I've invented this, that I'm paranoid, that I'm seeing things, that I'm too stressed out, that I need to eat more, that I need to drink less, that I like all things from all angles, from anyone that like sentient that I have uttered this to. I think then that drove me to a very dangerous place, the internet. And I think that the only stories that I've heard about you are articles from like 10, 20-year-old tabloids that I found online that have a very like dark, twisted little fan club around them of people who have invented stories about how you are anything ranging from there to surveil on behalf of the government to
just people copying passages out of Lovecraft. There's a weird sect that's like oddly horny.
Yep. There are people who claim they've had full-on relationships with you. There's so much from just people who have come and gone from this town, and none of it is consistent. And so that is, I think, why I can't believe any of it. All I know is that you're real and that I have to figure this out and get you to leave me alone. You have been hunted before. How do you survive and why were you hunted?
It's not entirely clear that I can be caught. And when you're trying to hunt something that you can't properly perceive, it's very easy to get away. The trouble you run into is just over and over again leaving and having to reset up and having to be somewhere new is agonizing eventually. You just hit a point where you're like, no, this is where I live now. Sometimes somebody will notice me and it happens enough times that they'll hunt, so you just find a place where it's like, no one's gonna notice me frequently enough.
Right.
I have no idea what I'm capable of, and I just don't want to find out. So we just go somewhere where people aren't going to make a fuss about it. Until somebody with a fucking can of hairspray gets it up their ass.
Wreck this whole thing. We have some collaborative stage setting questions that we get to talk about together. Mm-hmm. We might have answered a little bit of them already in just like the process of this, but the first one is, where does the hunt take place? And so I'm kind of imagining, you kind of mentioned this sort of like, you know, that like woods that encroaches on the edge of suburbia and like that kind of thing. I like to imagine that somewhere, like, there's the woods, there's civilization and suburbia encroaching on the woods, and then I think, like, on the other side of that, there's, like, an abandoned mall parking lot. That's reaching out to me.
Do you want to do the abandoned mall, or do you want to do, like, the constantly expanding next bit of suburbs being developed, so we have, like, that construction site, the frames of houses without any furniture?
Brilliant. That's it. Perfect. Love that.
You gotta have those liminal spaces.
You gotta.
You can't do creepy without a proper liminal space.
And you can't have suburbia without a creepy liminal space either.
They really go well together.
Time period is, I mean, I kind of made some assertions that it's present day, so I think it's present day.
I also referenced having stories told about me in the 2010s, so we're at minimum in the back half of that decade.
Yeah, for sure. And then, do we want to start at the very beginning of this hunt, or are we picking up in the midst of this? I have a lean. I wanna say that we're starting at like the very beginning, because the beginning is, I think, Rachel deciding that she can't take this anymore and that she's going out. She's sneaking out of the house tonight and she's finding you.
The beginning is that weird state of like already in progress of like, you've seen me enough times that both of us have realized that we see each other.
Yeah.
Wherever you want to start, if it's leaving the house or coming to the edge of the woods and the moment of just, do I go deeper, you know?
Our emotional states at the start of this hunt. Rachel is panicked, desperate, probably angry, resentful towards you, and is just very, very determined to be done with this messed up stage in her life.
When you realize, like, oh, you're coming in here, it's the desperation of just like, please, for the love of God, don't make me answer any of the questions I didn't want to. Like, the anger of just like, no, everything was fine. Why can't you leave me alone? All of the same sort of like, just generalized anxiety of, oh God, is something about to change?
Yeah.
And the absolute refusal to believe that it could be for the better.
And what about each of us is not what it seems?
If I let the stories get in, that's part of why I haven't had any sort of form, right? It's the idea that I need to be defined, and I have put an extra effort to not be. So I remain this weird, shapeless entity. And the more I push this, the worse it's going to get, because I'm forcing perception in a certain direction.
Yeah.
When you're the creepy thing that pops up around the sides, it's just, yeah, I think that's what it is. It's just like, it is not concrete what this thing is, and it's going to wind up being what it will be.
Damn.
Based on the fact that it's being hunted.
I think for Rachel, the thing that's not what it seems is that she is desperate and determined to find you. That's very true. But I think the reason that it is tonight that is the night is that tonight is the night that the thought entered her head that everyone was right, that you weren't real, that this wasn't real, and that she did make this up. She seems so determined to find you, but in truth, like, doubt has just entered.
This hunt is all or nothing. If you don't find me, then they were all right.
Yep.
And nothing in your life is real.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love that.
Jesus. Oh man, we got a rough setup here. This is awesome. In this game, we have split the deck into red cards and black cards. The red cards are cards that the monster will draw from. The black cards are the cards that the hunter will draw from. We have our little board consisting of 5 spaces. Right now, our adorable little monster icon that I picked at random from the Roll20 free icon store is in the center. We are gonna, in a moment, start rolling our dice as fast as we can until one of us hits doubles. When we do, we pause gameplay, and the one who rolled doubles will move the bear token closer to their opponent's side of the board. And then we will draw a card and zoom in, and the person who drew the card gets to have narrative control over what is happening in that scene. We can role play it, you can monologue it, you can just describe something, and I can contribute. Say if it's your card, I can contribute as much as I want, but it is you're essentially in like the GM position for that card's answer and whatever scene you want to describe at that. And then when we feel like that scene has made sense, we will move on and go back to rolling like maniacs until we hit another doubles. If we hit them at the same time, we have to decide how we enter a standstill for a moment, wherein neither of us get to advance because we both kind of grasped at the upper hand at the same time. Once the piece moves off the board in either direction, narrative control over the ending goes to the person who moved that piece off the board. We can both participate in that ending, but the person who moved the piece off gets kind of the GM spot again. And so that's it. That's how the game goes from here on out. You want to start rolling?
I really like this as a design. This is real simple.
Yeah.
I don't know how frantic die rolling is going to play for podcasts, but like...
Aram will figure it out.
Good luck with that, fucking Vardian.
All right, let's roll. Oh my god, no.
2 and a 2.
Fuck.
I win the game.
You do not win the game. Move your piece over towards the hunter's side, and I will draw you a card, which is the 4 of diamonds. The 4 of diamonds. The prompt is, you leave a message for the hunter. Where do you leave the message, and what does it say?
I think Rachel's probably seen enough movies to know you gotta Hansel and Gretel yourself. You gotta like mark where you've checked. And so when everything begins, it is very much like, oh God, we're doing this again. I'm trying to just stay to the periphery, not be seen. But the moment I realize like you are actually tracking me, you see me, you are following the directions I'm moving. And so I realize like the path is curving onto itself. If I try to move back around behind you, like you can see the trees you've marked. Mm-hmm. And I think we might get a good hour or so into this. You came in towards dusk.
Yeah.
You've got your lighter and your hairspray at one side.
Of course.
And just this little, like maybe even like a steak knife, just like enough to chip into the trees. And when we get back around, when I realize like you're checking and seeing the markings, for the first time in a very long time, I push for interaction. I just kind of exert force where I know my hand ought to be. And I just start doing the counter swipe and just start marking X's across every tree you see. Just trying to just warn you off. Like,
this is not the route. Do not come deeper.
And I keep this going until I land back roughly where the first tree was. Just present the opportunity.
Go the fuck home.
And I think Rachel at one point is kind of traversing down the road and sees like the lights from the highway getting close and realizes that she's getting like out of the woods instead of deeper in, and that she needs to turn around and then make a different turn. And when she turns back around and sees the tree behind her with this X mark over her mark, I think that for all of your intent, she sees that and becomes terrified and solidified in her belief that you are taunting her. You are messing with her, and this is a threat. And she's gonna get scared. She's gonna move forward, but she's not as confident anymore.
What do you think she keeps seeing?
A moving shadow, uncanny eyes in the dark. If it was like in the middle of the night in your house and you woke up in the middle of the night and you thought you saw a dude there and you turn on the lights and it's your coat hung over your jacket, like it's that, but instead of turning the lights on and it's gone, she'll stare into the woods, into the bushes, and it won't go away. Like it's still there. It doesn't, your eyes don't adjust and it doesn't leave. It doesn't start to make sense the longer you look at it. It's still an uncanny figure, an uncanny shadow, uncanny whites of ambient eyes.
It does have that length to it of like a shadow being cast at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Like that, it's the remnant, right?
Yeah.
There was someone here once, and this is just the shadow they cast. And by the end of this, after all of this like effort forcing the shape, the fingers are now actually visible as like distinct points of darkness.
Yeah.
They're starting to look sharper.
Fuck. Let's roll. 1-1.
You beat me.
I got the ace of spades. I raise my weapon to attack, but something causes me to falter at the last moment. What is it? Rachel now, because of this sign from you, is no longer like walking through with the hairspray down at her side. She lifts it up, has it held out in front of her, keeps relighting the lighter every time the wind blows it out, is just sincerely prepped at all times, and is almost like shakily pointing it in every direction as she's walking further into the woods. She sees you. She sees the shadow, the uncanny shadow in the dark. Maybe even, I think she even sees you marking her last tree. I think she continues on and catches you making this mark and comes up behind in this like brief moment of your most corporeal nature that you as a being have experienced so far. And she comes up behind you. I think that what gives her pause is just that you don't look like anything. She's seeing you, and just like before, that like sensation that like if you just got to focus on it for a little bit longer, it would make sense. It would become a shape. Even if it were a monstrous one, it would become something. But she sees you. She sees you acting and marking her tree and ruining her signals to herself, and you still don't quite make sense. And so she pauses in perplexion and confusion, and I think then the lighter just goes out with the wind and she loses her moment.
I'm not even sure it's like something that's actually perceived. I think it might just be like the long pause is just, this is an exertion of effort. Like, I don't have to stop to breathe or anything because, you know, incorporeal things. Maybe I do have to breathe. No one knows how magic works. But it's the long pause of like recollecting myself. If I had a physical body, you would be able to see like the shoulders rising and falling. And then it's just collecting myself, just heading deeper into the woods.
Fuck. I have to move my little guy back to the center. And then let's fucking roll.
Another 2 twos.
Okay.
That's the magic one. That's what I've learned.
All right. For your 2, you've got a 5 of diamonds. You find a hiding spot where you can watch the hunter undetected. What do you learn from observing them?
This is something that I've known for a long time, and it's made me wildly uncomfortable, is that light washes me out. I am legitimately harder to perceive in bright light. And like you said, we get closer and closer to the highway, and I start heading up just towards that new construction. And when we get there, the sun is finally sunk low enough that those huge, like, photoreceptor halogen lamps for the construction site are all kicking on. And I basically just pull back towards sort of the edge of the construction site, like legitimately standing under a lamppost, just where the light is so bright that the shadow can't properly form. And it just gives me the opportunity to just watch. And the thing I see is just the sheer desperation. Like, people have come out looking before, but it's usually kids. They usually think it's fun. Or it's someone who's like scared, put up to it on a dare, like doesn't want to be here. And I can see that same edge. Rachel doesn't want to be here. Whatever's keeping them here is fully internal. She is here with intent. And I'm seeing that just, I don't know that there's an end here. I don't know that she'll ever leave. It is the slow building fear that I might have to do something about this, or just accept being found. In this position, like in the bright light, knowing that somehow standing under a fucking beacon is when I'm least noticeable. Like, it sends back all of the panic of being, for lack of a better phrase, freshly banished.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out how to get people to know that I was still there. It's a feeling that I gave up a long time ago, I thought.
There is this moment where she exits the tree line, not too far from where you are under this street light. And she can't see you, but she doesn't know what to do because she can't give this up. And she just looks like even more horrified that she can't sense where you are. And so she just continues to wander and walk about.
And I follow her in.
Let's roll. Did you move your guy?
I did move my guy.
Good. Let's go.
Right, dice.
Fuck.
Double sixes.
Fuck.
You know what the fun part about every time I win one of these is?
What?
You bought me these dice.
The betrayal. It's the Queen of Diamonds for you.
I'm really sticking to the diamonds today, huh?
I did shuffle these, I promise. You know you could easily dispatch the hunter and end their hunt. What keeps you from doing that? That's interesting considering you're under the light right now and you literally could just stay there and I would never find you.
That's the thing. I could stay there, but the sun would come up. People would come out here. I'm not supposed to be seen, but most people can like catch me out the corner of their eye in the right conditions. And when the crew comes back in, if I just stay here, they'll see me. And if I go back into the woods and just wait it out, like I saw that determination, I don't think I'm ever going to be clear of this. Like, this might be the start of a problem. Especially like just knowing like I marked those trees. I made one of the most desperate gambles I've made in God knows how long. And you kept coming. I could just leave this, but if I leave this, I'm kicking the can down the road. Like, this problem needs a resolution. And I think there's the point where I'm just sitting there, following you back into the woods, and like exerting that focus and going like, I cut the bark. Skin is so much more fragile than wood. But I have not been properly perceived, let alone directly interacted with people in so long that, again, the idea of just years of perception declaring you a monster and then sitting there going, do I make the first interaction I have with a human being in forever murder?
Yeah.
And if I do, am I everything they ever said I was?
I have nothing to add. That's brilliant. Let's roll. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh my fucking god.
It's nothing like rolling and slowly realizing what you left yourself on and going like, oh god, if I have to do the next scene, then I think I have to actually just do the murder.
I know.
I don't really want that right now.
Oh my god. 4-4.
I had dropped one of the dice and I had one in my hand and I just dropped it like after you declared your doubles, like you concretely won this. That was a double 6.
So I was really close.
You literally came like hard under the wire.
Okay. 10 of clubs. What traces of past hunters do you find here? I think this is a really interesting question because I think from Rachel's perspective, she would not ever picture or like assume that these are past hunters. So she's not going to make that connection. But as she's walking through, she sees unknowingly like the signs of people who have tried to find you before. There's like, she at one point like steps on a, like something like hard under her foot and lifts it, and under like a pile of leaves is just like half buried in the dirt is like an old pipe. Just some kids who used to get high in the woods and saw you and tried to find you, and you know, it wasn't that serious. They never really got close. They all gave up. She sees, in heading back into the woods though, another kind of marking in the tree, but the kind that was made like, 10 years ago, and so like the bark has just grown in a little differently. Someone who maybe got a little bit closer, but she doesn't recognize any of it as signs. She's not able to focus in that way. She's really still just focused on trying to find you. And I think the thing that she has registered is that maybe given the markings on the tree, given she still senses this feeling even though we made it all the way out of the woods into the light. And she definitely knows that she never sees you in the light. I think she recognizes that you must still be hanging around her, that you're here for one reason or another. If it's not to hurt her, you're definitely nearby. I think this is when she actually starts to just shakily talk to you. And it's barely a whisper. It's, please, just show yourself, please. I can't do this anymore. I'm not leaving. I'm not going. I'm not leaving the woods. I'm not doing it. Nope. She might be talking to herself a little bit too.
You get the almost complimentary, like,
I don't want to have to leave again. Just give up. They all give up. Just go. Oh, let me have this. Let me be alone. Don't.
as I'm coming just through, just monitoring. Because frankly, at this point, it's more dangerous to not follow you and risk you coming up out of nowhere. It's just things like pushing the old, like I said, the mid-90s primary colored play school flashlight, like, back into the roots. Brushing the leaves back over the pipe. Just making sure that all the things that can be covered are in a position where ideally whoever might come looking for them isn't going to see them and isn't going to pick up a trail. Just quietly, possibly inaudibly. It's just begging.
Let's roll. God.
There's the sixes again. That's mine.
Oh, fuck. God. Okay, you're back on the edge. 8 of diamonds.
I'll never see a heart until I tear yours from your chest.
Oh, Jesus. You were not always alone here. What about the hunter reminds you of someone you once shared this place with? That is really fucked up for this one. Can't wait to hear what you come up with.
The darker it gets, the better I can see you. And you start to slowly remind me of the one who did this. Like, I don't even know how. I'm not sure she knew how. It was one of those, like, hope, just power of belief in something beyond everything else heard her when she said, I hope I never see you again. I hope no one fucking has to deal with you again. And it was just so forceful, so much intent. It was so true that the universe heard it.
You see Rachel sort of like shiver. Whether she fully comprehended the language and the words of what you were saying, you can see her feel pushed away. You can see her feel rejected, like she's not gonna get what she came for. You can see her like frustration start to well up in her eyes, and she starts to cry just a little bit quietly in that search because she was so determined and she's not getting it. Let's roll. Oh my God. No. Oh, 3.
I kept running 1 and 3 on like the 2 dice are different colors. So they kept flipping back and forth 1 and 3 and just taunting me.
Okay. I'm moving this little guy back 1. This is the Ace of Clubs. You spend hours setting an elaborate trap for the monster. How is it constructed? How do you set it to ensure it ensnares the monster? I think, you know, every time I've gotten this one, it's always been so intentional. And I think with Rachel, it's not as intentional a trap. I think that for Rachel, her setting a trap for you is that she decides that roaming around the woods is not working, and there's still plenty of hours left in the night. I think she decides to sit, and she knows that you go away in the light. I don't know that she knows that you like that, but maybe she sets up, like, I'm gonna say that Rachel is not adept at making a campfire, but I will say maybe she's got like a mag light or something like that she sets up. And so I think that her trap for you is a little ill-constructed and a little clumsy and a little bit missing the point because she doesn't quite understand what you are. But the trap itself and how it winds up working is that she is, by setting it up, refusing to leave your woods. She is sat here and she is not giving up despite the fact that she is on the verge of tears and growing in frustration. She is parked here, sat down in the dirt, and just waiting.
I think there's a point of just like with the light, with being like so bright, so intense, it's strutting back and forth, just stalking along the edge there.
Why are you doing this? Why do we have to do this effort?
Until eventually it's just like, you just sit down, and it just sits down across from you, directly in the beam. Borderline invisible, washed out entirely. Trying its best to scream.
Just please go. I don't know what I did to you. I don't know what you want from me. I just need you to leave. Please.
And Rachel, hearing you and not necessarily understanding, she answers in her own way, I cannot leave these woods. I can't leave. I can't go back. I can't go back until I know what you are. I can't go back until I know that you're real. I can't go back until I can't go back. I can't do it.
It freezes up entirely. The desperation, the sadness, like the knowledge that you are looking to prove that it's there, that you're going to bring someone back who also knows. This is the most terrifying thing I've heard in possibly my entire existence. The raw, hard knowledge of like, I either need to accept the loss or she can't leave.
Let's roll. Five.
Fuck.
We're back in the middle.
Bastard.
With the Queen of Clubs. Who wanted to join you on your hunt? And do you regret making them stay behind? I think the only person in my life who could have possibly even entertained the thought of believing me, and I should not have told him in the first place.
Yep.
Stupid idea to tell your little brother, you know? And like, and I think this is all being muttered aloud as she's just talking to herself as like she's passing the time. Shouldn't have told Tyler. Idiot thing to do. And now like, what? When I'm gonna go back and tell him that I didn't find it, and then he's gonna still want to come back out here. He'll want to come back out, and I can't bring him. And then what? He's gonna tell all the kids at school that his sister's a freak who sees things in the woods because he thinks I'm the coolest and he's so sweet, and he's gonna, and then all of the kids are gonna tell their older kids, and it's gonna get back to the school again. And then it won't just be, Sarah and Ashley who know. It's not just gonna be Brian, it's gonna be everybody. It's gonna be the whole school eventually. And it won't be Tyler's fault, but fuck, I should not have told him. You wanna roll?
I think so.
Okay. 1 and 1.
Fuck.
7 of spades. You and the monster circle each other for what seems like hours, neither of you making the first move. What keeps holding you back from attacking? I think Rachel gets bold again. She mutters to herself, she berates herself, she does all that, and then she gets a second wind. Like, no, you came here for a reason. You gotta get up off your ass and just keep going. And she stops sitting down, she gets back up, and she starts to instead search the woods. And she is searching now for like that feeling that she gets in those moments where she isn't seeing you, but when she can still know you're there, like when she walked out into the parking lot and she couldn't see any sign of you, but she still felt uneasy. She still felt sick. And like when she was sitting at the campfire and the light was on and she was talking to herself, but she didn't see you there. You didn't come to the campsite, it seems, but she still felt wrong. And so she's going to focus on that feeling instead of her eyesight, instead of her senses. She's looking for the feeling of unease, and she follows that instead. And she gets close, but every time she feels it and she knows that means you must be close by, she's convinced that that's what it's gotta mean. For her, the feeling is helpful, but it's not validating. It doesn't answer the question. It doesn't tell her that you're real. There's nothing to attack.
I think it's just reached a point where it's dancing. In the sense of like, you're leading, you're pointing the flashlight, but I am staying in front of you. Like, it's that the feeling becomes omnipresent because it's just the only way to stop her from finding me is to stay where she's looking at me, where the flashlight is on, and I am safe, at least until I decide what to do. Because you have now sent this monster into a full spiral at the prospect of, oh God, there are going to be hundreds of children. And everyone knows how kids think. If you go back and say you didn't find anything, you're exactly right. 100 kids are going to follow in your wake. If you never come back, at least one kid's coming into the woods. And God knows how that's going to play out. That could be another hundreds of kids situation. That could just be one lone kid getting lost. The issue is getting forced, and I don't like it.
What stops you from attacking back, though?
So I think initially it was just like that remnant of just like, I don't want to kill anyone over this. I'm not the kind of monster that needs sustenance. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not a vampire. This isn't a werewolf. Like, I'm not gonna get meat out of it. So I got to hold on for however long to that illusion of humanity of just like, well, I don't do things that are wrong. And now I'm sitting here having like just been on the verge of, well, I can definitely cut her. I could just kill her. And then suddenly like, oh, and if I do, everything is still going to be ruined.
Let's roll.
5 and 3. Obnoxiously similar.
Oh my god. 3.
I used them all up. There aren't any doubles left.
I'm on the edge with a 2 of clubs. What are you planning to do when the hunt is over? It's getting so late into the night. She's looking tired, frazzled, red-eyed. But like the adrenaline, the fear is like just still driving her. In fact, she's just like still shaking and like shivering, even though it's not remotely cold out. And she starts muttering to herself again. Once I know, then it's fine again. Then everything's gonna be fine again. I can go home, I can tell Tyler that, you know, that it was real and that it's nothing. Because it's gonna be so stupid. Whatever it is, it's gonna be so stupid. And I'm gonna find it and it's gonna be fine, and then I can go back and I can prove it somehow, and then everything's gonna be normal again. I can, oh my God, I can get a prom dress, and I can stop failing calculus, and maybe I'll get into college. We'll see about that. That ship might have sailed, but maybe I can talk to the principal there. We can maybe try it again, and maybe, you know what, I could take a gap year. Brian's taking a gap year. That's totally normal. I can just try it again, and I can get my life back on track, and I can stop fucking thinking about this all day, every day, all night, every night. It's gonna be fine. I just gotta keep going. I'm close. I am so close. And I think that in that like murmur and that mumble is when, for the first time since the tree, she catches a glimpse of you, not just the feeling, but like sees that uncanny, shapeless, formless nothingness that she knows you to be, and holds a very deep breath.
The reason for being here in the first place was that feeling of like the only thing I get is seeing that humanity still exists. I have to be apart from it. I can't be part of it, but I can know that people are out there living their lives. Mm-hmm. And that was the point of just like pure humanization. Like the brother was like the edge of it, but going through all of the like the goals, the future, right? Like this, Rachel became a person. And it's the realization of just, I can't do this. And this is the thing I know game designers always love, where you sort of break the rules of their game when they're trying to advertise their game.
Please do. Go for it.
I think we should start rolling, and I'm just going to put my dice down.
You want me to? I'm still gonna roll.
Get your doubles. I knew you would. I
just want to see how likely it would have been for me to actually beat you. And it's not looking good. All right, I did get 4 and 4. She finishes mumbling that. She sees you there, and she steps like so timidly towards you.
It's the wounded animal, like instinctually step back and then just brace. And you're like, no. That's it. It's done. And sort of re-stand up.
Because it is dark, because that is where you exist, and the flashlight hangs low at her side, it isn't until she gets like a little bit closer to you that you just see the mascara like stains like down her cheeks from how much she's been just like doubtfully and frustratedly crying throughout this entire stalking exchange tonight. She comes up to this like formless thing that is you, and she doesn't go the entire way. She just stops just ahead of you and like just reaches her hand forward, like dropping the can of hairspray to her side, and doesn't touch you, but it's just like extended an inch or so away from where you are.
It just looks down at the hand and looks up at you.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I just wanted to be left alone.
Being able to see you when those like prickling thoughts like enter the back of her head, I think she is able to actually understand that it's not just a sensation, but that it's words and that it's you. And she lowers her hand back down. So you're real?
The vague impression of like a low chuckle.
As far as I can tell.
You don't change into anything. You don't get scarier. You don't eat kids.
Just sort of looking over its hands, looking at sort of the formless mass of darkness.
It seems no. Honestly, as surprised as you are.
But how can I prove that this was real? I'm not like a jerk or anything. I don't want to hurt you if you're not going to hurt me. I just, you seem scared, I guess.
It's difficult to be alone, but you grow used to it. Until anything else is just as terrifying. I don't think I'll ever not be scared. But you don't need to. Go past calculus. Whatever that is.
Oh. Yeah, I guess you heard that. Do you have a name?
I think I did.
If I call you one, will you, like, explode through reality and, like, kill me, or?
Oh God, I hope not. I no longer intend to kill you.
It hears it come out of its like hypothetical mouth, and just immediately like the shadow hands go up.
It crossed my mind. I'm not going to.
Okay.
You were hunting me.
Well,
I don't think there is enough of me to prove that I was here. I don't think I can give you that.
yeah.
I, the nameless shadow that lives in the woods, can tell you that I am unfortunately real. And ask you to leave it at that.
Sure. Okay. And she like puts her hands to her face and looks up and sees that the like just the hint of light from like that first dawn break is starting to come into the sky. Oh boy. Well, I'll figure something out then. But you know what? I guess, hey, I know I'm not crazy. So that's good. And, you know, you're real. So then that's great.
For a given value of great.
She starts to step back out of the woods, picking her stuff back up and just sort of turning away from where she now knows you are. She turns, she walks and she stops like a couple feet after she starts walking through, and she turns back to you. The first time I saw you, it was through the window. I was watching my favorite movie, like I do, like 3 nights a week. And I looked away from the TV, and I looked through the window, and that's when I saw you out there the first time. Maybe I call you after something from that movie, and that can be your name.
If it will help you, I will accept this.
Okay, cool. Because I think that actually Jareth is a really cool name for a formless, shapeless shadow creature who is kind of nice.
I'll remember the name Jareth. And I promise I will not steal your little brother.
Cool. I kind of didn't.
You should find another movie. I've now seen the movie enough times. And I only see it through a window.
So you do watch it. You do. Okay, so then this is, really not, I'm not blameless here. I came out here. You could. Anyway, I have to figure out some really clever lies. So I'll be heading out. And she just kind of starts to leave, mumbling a little bit to herself. Like this time, less paranoid, less panicked, more strategic. Just like, Mom won't be up yet. I'll get in, and you know what? I can play along that I made all this up. Just for the sake of everybody getting off my back about it, and this can just be for me, and I can suck it up. The state of the football team, my little incident will be over in like 2 weeks. They're not gonna care after that. And I think she mumbles to herself her whole way out of the woods. I think that Rachel does have to kind of take a gap year to finish, not necessarily really a gap year, because I think she has to redo some stuff so that she can make up for like the last 6 months of high school and get into the school and get her life back on track. But what that means is that there is this year where everyone she knows is off at college, and she is the one back here at home. And I think some nights to study, she goes out into the woods and she brings a big old bright flashlight and she points it away from her, and she just does her homework, her studying out there in the quiet, maybe sometimes talking to herself in a place where you can sit in the light and be there unseen.
As you're quietly going over your notes, every now and then, as you're sort of mumbling to yourself, there's just what feels almost like the thought at the back of your head. Things like,
that can't be true. They can do what now? No, nothing is that small.
This is the first happy ending I think I've gotten in this game. I have not gotten a happy ending before.
I mean, I wasn't fighting my way all the way back across the board. That wasn't gonna happen, just statistically. And like, I made a monster that didn't particularly want to do murders, and you spent a lot of time convincing me that maybe it would be a horrible thing to do this murder. And also it would actually be actively at cross purposes with my goals. So yeah, you gotta give it to them.
Yeah.
When they win, they win. My name is Dillin. My pronouns are he, they, and I'm the co-founder of Dead Ghost Productions, this very network, and the co-host of Kill Every Monster. You can find me on whatever social media you happen to be looking on, at DJ Malenfant.
My name is Dillin, or Super Dillin. You can mirror your own pronouns for me or use she and he. I am a games designer and actual play performer who loves to find the magic in the mundane. You can find my games on itch.io or through the Plus One Experience store. And you can hear me as host of the One Shot podcast, a principal cast member of The Atomless, and co-founder of Patchwork Productions and co-host of Dorkspawn. I co-designed this game, Hunter Hunted, with Megan Cross, and am so thrilled to share it with the world. The Kickstarter is running July 15 through August 14. I hope you enjoy.